Hey, what's up everybody? It's Nox, and today we're talking about POE 2. I'm here on my Sorc. I went Stormweaver, and I did get to maps. However, there's a bug with the map device right now where sometimes you just aren't able to interact with it. So while I am waiting for that instance to reset and for me to be able to try again, I figured I would teach you guys how I got through the campaign as a elemental spellcaster. This is just some tips and tricks that I learned and some combinations that I thought would be useful and you could try yourself if you are struggling, or maybe you just want a different playstyle while you're playing through the campaign. So the first one you will get very early on is Spark and Flame Wall. So Spark I like to link with Pierce and Persistence. The reason why is because Spark will go around and bounce several times. If you link it to Pierce, it means it can hit each enemy twice, and if you link it with Persistence, it gives you more opportunity for each of the projectiles to hit a single target. So this really increases your single target DPS if you have longer duration. Then we have Flame Wall here. Flame Wall does damage on its own, but also if you cast Spark through it, you'll see them turn orange there. It increases their damage. Just a great combo. I like to link Flame Wall with Fortress, cast Flame Wall around myself, and then I can cast in any direction to do damage to the mobs. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. This combo will get you through most of the early game up until you get your first spirit buff. I strongly recommend crafting Raging Spirits on pretty much any caster that uses fire spells because they are so strong. What Raging Spirits does, if we lock it in here, make sure it's activated. I also like to link it with Fire Infusion just for the extra fire damage here. Is whenever we cast Flame Wall, we'll summon these little flaming skulls and they will run around and murder things for you. One of the great advantages of this, and again, I'm in a level 49 zone, and I'm mostly geared for my cold damage because that's what I've been doing in maps. But you see, like with no minion juice at all, they're coming around beating these guys up, and this is like a level 6 gem, you know? So it's not like I'm doing crazy damage, but it's not like it's super weak either. This obviously scales up with gem level. Just like everything. So I think Raging Spirits is the way to go. Some people recommend Arctic Armor. I think this is bait. It does not have a defensive capability at all. You don't want to be getting meleeed anyway, so getting this over Raging Spirits doesn't quite make sense. I think once you have additional spirit, you can lock this in, maybe link an Arctic Armor with Clarity, but that's a little bit further down the line. You'll notice when I was attacking those mobs, there's a little blue orb above them. This is where the spell Lightning Warp comes in. I really like this spell, and you can link it with something called Life Drain, so that way it recovers 12% of your health, and Shock Siphon, so it recovers 4% of your energy shield when you call an enemy, and we'll get Lightning Warp here on our bar. So let's go find an enemy. That blue orb above those mobs' heads means that I can cull them. And so if I press Lightning Warp on them, I will teleport to them. That monster will instantly die, and then it will pulse AoE damage. So same thing here. I can go there, and then maybe we get these guys down a little bit more. Cool. So now we can cull these. Again, it just allows me to recover my health. And it also allows me to teleport things and move out of the way. So if he was, if I was walled in here and he was on the edge, I can teleport to him and walk out of the pack, and I'm a lot more safe. Another combination that you can do with Lightning Warp specifically is Ball Lightning. So most people don't read this gem, but it's pretty cool. You can cast Ball Lightning and then Lightning Warp to it. So you can actually use this as a movement skill to get out of a dangerous situation. Maybe you're surrounded, but also just, you can cross gaps. So if I needed to get through an area or something like that, and I couldn't, for some reason, like I couldn't cross this gap right here, I can just teleport and it's all good. So that's pretty much the basics of the Sorc leveling, or the elemental spellcaster leveling. You can do this with any class, by the way. It's POE. None of this is restricted to Sorc. Just when you craft the gem, you'll just need to go find them. It's totally fine. However, a lot of folks have been really having a good time when they switch to cold. So I'm going to talk about that for just a second. So I still keep Lightning Warp here again, just to have that cull ability. It's really nice. But a lot of folks will use Frostbolt. They will combine it with Scatter Shot. So there's multiple projectiles now. And then early on, you can combine that with Ice Nova and Spell Cascade. So we cast the Frost Bolts here, then we cast the Ice Nova. It casts on them and casts multiple times on those Frost Bolts. So we can just sit here spam. We're just sitting here spamming, and that does a lot of damage. Ice Nova by itself chills for a ton. It also knocks enemies back and sort of disrupts them from getting to you. It's a great way of having control over the battlefield, this combination here. However, eventually you can get Cold Snap. So Cold Snap, you can keep Ice Nova, but you can also have Cold Snap. You can also cast it Spell Cascade, which I have right here. You cold Snap with Spell Cascade, and it will pulse on the other orbs automatically. So we go here. It detonated 2 with just 1 spell cast. And you can still have the Frost Nova while that's going out. So Frost Nova, and then you get close, and then you Cold Snap at the end there. So that is another option in your tool belt. Eventually you will get Frost Bomb, which I think is a wonderful spell. It does a ton of damage early on, but it detonates really slowly. But the exposure is nice, especially if you're doing cold damage. Reducing monster res is essentially a more multiplier, something you should definitely be doing, combined with hypothermia as well. If you weren't interested in the cold play style, you can also go Fireball. So dropping Cold Snap here, and we can put Raging Spirits back on, and we can get Fire Infusion. We can do Fireball, and I like to combine this with Unleash and Scattershot. So again, this is a lower level gem, but I just wanted to sort of showcase it here. Let's find an enemy. Fireball's really cool. Now, not doing a ton of damage to these guys because it's like, you know, the lowest level Fireball gem that you can have. But you get a lot of clear and a lot of coverage. And so Fireball is great on its own, especially if you're scaling fire damage. You can also cast it through flame walls if you wanted to. But one of the things that I've noticed people doing is using Frost Wall. Now, I think this is okay, so this is a lower level Frost Wall, which is good. The health of the Frost Wall is determined by its level. I also combine it with Icicles to reduce their health. And so you cast Frost Wall, and you cast a Fireball into it, and those explode, and it does lots of cold damage. You can link Frost Wall with either Fortress or Spell Cascade. I actually prefer Spell Cascade for this. And let's see. We can find a little group of enemies here real quick. We're sort of getting in their face, or we're doing a ton of damage. Again, these are under-level gems, just blasting, and I'm more spec'd for cold damage here, so the Fireball isn't doing as much as the Frost Wall, but Frost Wall is a great tech that you can use. Now, how I personally got through the campaign and got midway through Cruel was with this Spark and Flame Wall setup that we talked about in the very beginning. And then I swapped over to Frostbolt with Cast on Freeze and Comet. And I'm sure if you guys have been looking at builds, you know how spicy this is. So I'm going to get rid of Raising Spirits. I'm going to keep Lightning Warp and Ball Lightning, because why not? And I was using just Frostbolt. And I threw in Glaciation. And we have Cast on Freeze, and we'll just do Comet, and we will do Impetus. The reason why we do Impetus is because one freeze will then trigger a Comet, which makes it very nice. So we do a Frostbolt here. We can keep Frostwall, but we're probably not going to use it. So now again, I'm just going to run forward. I'm going to find some enemies. I'm going to show you what this playstyle looks like. And this one is like really simple. We just cast Frostbolts. And once it freezes something, you drop a Comet on their head. It's pretty cool. Now Scattershot, we can throw in there as well, just so there's more coverage. And you can combine this with any of the things we were using earlier. So you could throw in an Ice Nova here and use that. And we can use maybe Spell Echo. And as soon as they get frozen, they die. right? So again, just a small showcase of the options that you can do. Nobody's solved everything yet. Nobody's found the best leveling meta just yet. There's some folks with some real strong builds right now. So, but a lot of things are getting nerfed as well. This is just something that I wanted to showcase for you guys to help you get you through the campaign, maybe having a little bit more fun. As far as your passive tree is concerned, I'll just quickly go over what I did. I went Stormweaver. I did take Arcane Surge first and then Force of Will second. The reason why is because sustaining mana in general is really difficult, especially with cast on freeze. Early on, I went up here and I grabbed the Lightning Node first, but I've respec'd out of it since then. I come over here and grab this. We are always afflicting elemental ailments as we are leveling through the campaign. We're using Firewall, we're using Spark, we're using some sort of chill. We're always getting the benefit from this. So really good damage early, and it's element agnostic. So it does not matter what element you're using, you're going to get the damage benefit from this. And that means if you decide to change your setup, it's really flexible. I came up here and grabbed more of these generic elemental damage nodes here, as well as the all resist. And then there's some really strong defensive nodes here where the percent damage taken is mana before life, here and also here. Something to look into, especially if you feel like you're dying a lot. It's nice to have a little bit extra buffer. This is essentially 18% more life, but it's a little bit more than that because you're going to have mana recovery as well. So worth looking into. I did take the effect of Arcane Surge because we're getting that from our Ascendancy. And then when I decided to go cold, I came all the way up here to grab the Endless Blizzard and the freeze buildup, again, just so we're freezing a little bit quicker. If you are using the trigger spells, this wheel is insane right here. It's absolutely cracked. If you have a lower level cast on freeze, you need to spec this 1 point in gained increased energy combined with the impetus skill or the impetus support in order to get it to trigger on a single freeze. Otherwise, it will take 2 freezes to do so. And I did not like the feeling of that. It felt very clumsy to me. More freeze build up here, more mana and mana regen, more int for more mana regen. And then I came down here to do reduced ice crystal life. This is just simply so I could blow up the frost walls easier in this tutorial. It helps detonate those ice walls a lot easier. That being said, that's it for me. Hopefully I can get into more maps soon. Hopefully they fix this bug. Thank you very much for watching, and I will catch you guys next time.